game like this that can help you get there?
No, you can learn everything. It was a very important thing. Kind of knew that going into the game that it was going to be that type of atmosphere, and I think that's very important for our team, being on the younger side, to experience. So those are critical, and you have to feel what it's like to play such a good team on the road. Your margin for error is so small, and it's an important building block along your progression for the season. You if you're going to lose games, you want it to be against a really good team, and you want it to hurt. There's the collection of coaches and players in the locker room right now are hurting because they feel like they left some plays on the field for sure. So losses, if approached the right way, if you're not pointing fingers and you're looking internally, can be a good thing too. And so that's what will be determined to make this moving forward, starting with tomorrow.
A little self-inflicted in there. You had a touchdown called back by penalty, 10 penalties. They had none, which is a little unusual. But that's just the way it goes. What do you do to because penalties have been an issue a little bit as a season. Is that something in your mind in the back of your mind that you need to continue to improve?
No,
eliminate?
Oh, well, without a doubt, you can't be minus 10 in penalties. So you look at the what's the commonalities for it? Is there a pattern? And you have to look at it case by case and look at it hard. You can't just point a finger and say that's not fair. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's more about looking at ourselves, the stuff that we can control, and what things that we can clean up in our game. Generally penalties occur when you're out of position in any phase. So you have to start with that and make sure that guys understand and learn from stuff. Because if you're going to go through anything that's as frustrating as this loss, you might as well, or you better make it worth it. So that will be our focus for sure.
On the interception, Tua called it an underthrow, but there were two players in the same area. Seemed like that happened another time earlier too. Was there miscommunication on routes going on?
No, that one in particular, there was a couple double moves that are kind of built for man coverage, so it kind of disperses that way, where they're kind of close together. It's something that we've been working on for a while, and those are things you have to learn from in terms of that particular play with Tua, because playing quarterback in this league is tough enough, but getting used to adjusting, when you don't have protection versus when you do. On that particular play, I thought we did have solid protection there, and so when Tua watches the film, I'm sure he'll be critical of himself, as the leader he is and where he's at in his career. He's pretty overly accountable for throws, and he kind of let that one fly on his back foot, and I was hoping Raheem could step back and make a play on the ball. He had an issue doing so with apparently what was legal contact down the field. So that's definitely not why we lost the game for sure. That play, I thought Tua had a very, very good game, all things considered, and made a ton of plays under some duress.
So, Mike, you came in with the number one rushing attack in the league. I think you had 45 rushing yards, give or take. How much did that affect your play calling and just the rhythm of the offense?
Oh, we were behind the chains more than we're used to. We had some, small nuanced details of some plays that, hats off to the Philadelphia Eagles because they made us pay every time that we were, maybe our track was a little too tight or too wide, or an offensive lineman was a hair off. But that's we rely on the running game to have successful offense. We got it going a little too late in the game. So that's something that we take pride in, and we'll be sure to get better from moving forward.
We saw similar kind of pre-snap issues on the road again in a raucous environment. Just naturally, knowing that you have to win some of these games on the road to get to
For sure.
your goal.
No.
What can the team do? What can you do with the coaching staff to make sure you guys are better?
Well, I mean, from my perspective, there's a good amount that falls on my shoulders because you're working through what your team is and what you can do and can't do on the road, and there's sometimes that coaches can get a little too aggressive with some of the things that they decide to do. I felt starting with me that was the case. I think there were a couple instances where it was correctable, but there was I know we had to use one timeout because I adjusted the play call late because of the so that isn't on the players, and then there was just we weren't maybe as crisp as usual coming out the huddle, which always leads to stuff, and we'll take a hard look at that in terms of what we were doing and how we were doing it, and make sure that we get better, because it definitely wasn't good enough to win to beat a football team like that, which was a shame because I thought our defense. Our defense gave us a definite chance to win with the way they played and made some serious physical plays that were kind of wasted. So Javon Holland was evaluated by the specialist on site and cleared, so he went back into the game. David Long came into the locker room, never came out of it. I'll get a better update on that. Haven't really had a chance to talk to Kyle and his staff, so I'll give you that information tomorrow for sure.
Obviously, they went pretty heavy to Cedric tonight. Chase was active for the first time. How close is he to being able to contribute in this offense on the field?
No, he had Chase had a package of plays that the circumstances of the game kind of ran us out of. So we were expecting him to play a little bit more, but once you start having, we had with Waddle leaving the game, there was, it's more difficult to get a newer player just involved that way unless it's in his package of plays, which, like I said, we kind of digressed through his what we're planning on getting done. So he's doing a great job. He had carved out a little role with us already, and I'm hoping that expands as he gets the opportunities to play within our offense.
Like we were missing a lot of key players in this game. How much did it affect things not having, whether it's Xavier Howard, Connor Williams, in the game, Jalen Waddle for a time, Isaiah Wynn?
good players, the more good players you have, it definitely makes you better. However, it would be tough for me to really look at, I kind of look at what we do have and was very confident going into the game of the players that were scheduled to play a good amount of snaps, and I think it'll be awesome to have players return to our team, but go in without X, Y, or Z. Whomever it is wasn't the reason that we lost. We were still capable of winning that football game if we're playing our brand of football at its highest.
Mike, I think Ed said so on Friday that he was planning to play. Was it a matter of the team kind of just being safe and going about it? Was he physically not able to?
Yeah, no, that's something that I talk to you guys a lot about, is trying to protect players from themselves, and sometimes competitors can be short-sighted in their scope. So, whether or not it just didn't seem with that position, with that injury, it didn't seem prudent to kind of press the envelope at this stage, knowing that how important he is for the entirety of the season. So he had a good week, and he'll be chomping in my ear this next week, probably every day. So because he definitely didn't like watching the game in street clothes, for sure.
Mike, you could have gone into the locker room down 2 scores, but you had to drive at the end of the half to cut it to within 7, and as it turned out, you actually tied the game. What was the momentum swing? What was the feeling on the sideline when your team came back the way it did?
Validation. I think they felt very capable of doing that. It was the one thing I will say is there's some definite positives that came from this game. I felt like the team is at a place where they can compete in these type of atmospheres and against this type of opponent. But there's still some growth that needs to be had, which is part of the journey for sure. So, I was encouraged by our locker room temperament at halftime. I was encouraged by the way that we came out to the field, and we were expecting to bridge that gap for sure. So when it happened, I think guys were validated for sure. But it was too short-lived, unfortunately.
Mike, you start shuffling guys around on the offensive line. How does that affect your job and Tua's job as a communicator? And make sure everyone's in the right spot.
It's definitely part of the job. It's not the first, nor will it be the last. It can make things. It can add a layer, to your decision making for sure. But that is something that I see as 100% my job. So I think that's not anything that's going to go away, and it can't ever be an excuse. So you kind of have to be prepared in the event that there's shifting and shuffling. And so it had a plan. It just wasn't good enough.
Mike, no defensive snaps for Cam Smith tonight, despite X being out. I guess where's the hesitation in getting him on the field at this point?
It's just the natural growth of, there's many different journeys that players take, and he's got a room of very capable players, and I think you have to do right by the team, and you have to do right by the player to make sure that they're appropriately versed. And the main thing with him is that he's, by all testaments, he's getting better and better and closer to doing that. But you don't just have guys learn on the fly at a position like that, in my opinion. because it can, it's kind of like a quarterback where you don't want to hurt their progression by having them see the field too soon, because there can be scar tissue with that. And I really like the way that Cam goes about his business and how he competes, and he'll see his time on the field at some point. But tonight was just not the night.
What's up, brother? You all right?
So, how much of a feeling of a lost opportunity is this for you and the rest of the team?
It's tough when you come on the road against a really good team and you're not able to execute the way you expected to execute, not execute the way we wanted to execute. But you got to give props to those guys and their coaching staff. They did a real good job in preparing for us. Some things went well for us. Some things we were just trying to figure out there. But overall, we just got to get better.
What did you see on the interception that Slade had?
It was just an underthrow. That's all it was. It was it was nothing more than just an underthrow.
Well, you're playing a team that was able to stop the run the way Philadelphia was tonight. How does that change the math for you as a quarterback and the offense?
Yeah, in a way, it does change how we go about playing out there. Because there's actions off of those runs that we'd like to get, and when the run game's not going, the way you would expect it to go, then that kind of mitigates the way we run pass, and then it's more of just a drop back sort of game. But they did a really good job. Second half we came out with some adjustments. We got some things going in the run game. But really for us offensively and as a team, it's just really trying to sustain, putting consistent drives together, being able to go out there, defensively and getting 3 and outs and sort of playing off each other in that sense.
So sorry if you already asked this before, but what do you think can be done to just have the offense run a little better on the road? You're going to have these raucous environments. What can you do as a team to just have the offense be a little more?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of pieces that go into our offense. A lot of moving parts. I have to be able to communicate to the O-line, the cadence in a loud environment, which makes it tough. All of those things play a role in us going out there and executing, especially with a loud environment, tough environment. But it's communicating and being able to go out and executing. It's hard to sort of replicate crowd noise the way it is over here and in other places. But that's the next step for us and what we're trying to do.
The play where you down instead of taking the sack from Jalen Carter, was that something that you consciously decided, something maybe you worked on? I know you worked on that a lot this offseason of protecting yourself. What was going through your mind on that play?
Yeah, that's all it was. I missed the snap point in what we were trying to do with that play, and there wasn't anything else on that play, so I just took that and protected myself.
Anything you take from the game like this one, on tough game on the road, tough
Mhm.
environment, you guys hung in with this team and tied them up. Anything positive that you can take from that kind of environment and then be able to play as well as you guys did and be able to match with them?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of positives that we can take, but then again, we got to come into tomorrow and watch the tape and see things that we can get better with. There's always good that are done, but none of those guys in the locker room remember those, especially after a loss. They're all thinking of what we could continue to do to get better and help our team win games.
So a lot of people call this game a measuring stick for this team. Where do you think you guys are?
Well, I don't think we listen to the outside noise in regards to how people feel about our team. I think the most important thing is the guys in the locker room sticking together and continuing to go. There's a lot of football to be played. A lot of football. It's a long season.
Isaiah Wynn left the game
Yeah, it affects a lot of what we do because he's had a lot of the reps throughout the practice week, and then for Lesser to have came in, I think I thought he did a really good job, for what he was given to do, the task at hand. I mean, there's a lot of things going on, when it's, are we trying to run this? Okay, no, it's this. Look, we got to run it this way. The communication up there and getting that orchestrated for those guys is not as easy as it seems. So, I think they've done a good job, and it was a team effort today. It took everyone today.
More questions?
One more? Not one more? One question? Yeah. No?
Yeah, this game was a little odd. You guys had 10 penalties, they didn't have any. You got down early, you came back, you fought back. In the end, you didn't have enough. But what do you learn, and what's going to help you? This is a great football team that you played, and you're going to have to beat good football teams to get where you want to. What did you learn from this one?
Well, we learned that the little things matter, and they turn into big things as they continue to build up. And this is a good test early in the season. People can say that the penalties this, the penalties that. Like for us as a team, we're not throwing that out as an excuse. They went out there, they did what they had to do to win that game, and we didn't do enough to win that game. So it is what it was, and we'll go in tomorrow and we'll learn from that, and we'll get ready for New England.
Can it help you down the stretch? Can it help you guys down the road?
Oh, yeah. All these games can help us down the road. To me, it felt like this game was a playoff atmosphere type of game, and I think there was a good rep for us early in the season, leading down the road to when it's crunch time.
You talked about communication. You have a lot of guys who are in the lineup playing different positions, new positions. What are things that you think that you can do to kind of streamline that process in the middle of a game like tonight?
Yeah, I think the thing that I can do is communicate to those guys prior to us going out there. I can do a better job in letting them know what we're trying to get accomplished on this drive. Obviously, we're trying to get points on the board, but when Mike does communicate to me what we're trying to run, all right, guys, it's a run play. This is what the play is going to be. Just be alert for this look or this look, and they can communicate that throughout this being on a sideline before we go and start drives.